He says to Moses, instruction. I want you to listen. Take the staff and assemble the congregation, which means bring them together. Not just you, but also Aaron, who is the high priest. That's your brother. And speak to. I want you to talk to the rock. Before their eyes, let them see that is your mouth speaking the words, the breath, the Ruach HaKodesh that's coming out of you, that's touching the rock, that's going to make the rock bring forth the water. I don't think some of you just caught that. I'm going to say that again. As a revelation from the Most High God comes down right now. Abba Yahweh, Robo Sendebe Kitanda Baya Robo Sanda Baya Namasata. The Most High God, the King of Kings, told Moshe to speak to the rock in front of the people so that there could be a witness that it was Abba Yahweh's Spirit that was doing the work, that it was Abba Yahweh's Spirit that was bringing forth his essence, his water, his Holy Spirit. The representation of the Holy Spirit was going to be poured out onto the people. But in disobedience, but in manipulation, but in enchantment from the evil ones, from the sorcery that was being worked on Moses, in disobedience, allowed his flesh to rise up in anger. Anger, children, a very dangerous spirit that you do not play with. Anger that comes in the form of pride so many times. The enemy is there watching, waiting like a prowler, just waiting on Moses to make a mistake to snap him and catch him. And this is exactly what Satan did. Satan waited for the opportune moment to strike. And what did he do? Use Moses' emotions against him. And instead of being obedient, which Moses had been for so many years, there is no other prophet, there is no other man or woman that it is written that went on 3 40-day fasts, dry fasts. If that is not obedience, then I don't know what is obedience. So children, you must understand the diabolic agenda that came against Moses in order to get him to fall. And guess what? None of all of those obediences covered that one situation where he was disobedient. It did not make up all of those hundreds and thousands of times that Moses was obedient to the Spirit of the Most High God. You think that God would have pardoned him and say, okay, let me look at everything that you've done. You know what? Because you've been perfect in those ways and those times, I'm going to give you a pass this time. No will do. And the enemy knew it. The enemy knew once he could get Moses this one time, it was a wrap. And he crafted it, just like he did with Adam and Eve. Sat down and plotted and ployed how he was going to do that. So too he does that with us, children. Each and every one of us. And this is why the word says we are to work out our salvation with what? Fear and trembling. Why? Because the enemy sits crouched at our door waiting for the moment to prowl upon us. So you got your things say in your Christianity and in your Christendom that you can just walk, fly by, and everything is fine. You can do anything you feel like doing and you're going to go into heaven. You can do anything you feel like doing and God is going to pardon you. That's not the way it works, children. That's not the way it works. Obedience to death is what Abba Yahweh requires of his children. So the disobedience, the one disobedient act, so unfair. So unfair. When you look at it, it is a very unfair situation. But in Daddy's eyes, it's a just situation. Because Abba Yahweh is the Alpha and the Omega. He's the beginning and the end. He's the first and the last. He can see the end from the beginning, and he can know that if Moses was disobedient this time, that he was going to be disobedient in the future. And it was going to cost him even more. So he said, that's it. You're not going to get to enter the promised land. You or Aaron, because of both of you messed up. Both of you messed up. You knew what to do. You knew that my name was supposed to be sanctified. You knew that the elements materially were supposed to honor me by my word. They're not getting any kind of benefits for obeying me. The sun, the moon, and the stars obey my word every day, all around the clock. And this was just another opportunity for my name to be glorified. For people to see and worship me for who I am, to know that I am the one that supplied my Holy Spirit to them. I am the one that quenched their thirst. But you took that from me. You took my glory from me, Moses. I know that you love me. I know you didn't mean it. But in my kingdom, in the promised land, there's no room for errors. I'm going to say that one more time because some of you didn't catch that. In the promised land where we're about to step in, children, there's no room for errors. And I'm going to say one more time, just in case you didn't hear what I said. For those of you who are ready to walk into the promised land. Entering into the promised land, there is no room for errors. Strictly obedience. Obedience unto death, children. Whatever Abba Yahweh has asked you to do, you better do it. As hard as it may be, as gut-wrenching as it may be, as crippling as it may be, as humiliating as it may be, children, whatever he has asked you to do, do it. Because the repercussions of you being disobedient, it's not worth it. You're never, ever, ever going to be able to undo that. You cannot say, oh my gosh, Daddy, I've fasted all of these years. I've been so faithful to your servants. I've fed the hungry, and I've clothed the naked, and I've prophesied to your children. And all of these signs and these wonders have happened for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years. No, you can't say that, because Daddy is not looking at any of that stuff. No, Daddy has been training you all of these years in discipline, like a soldier in the army. That when his sergeant gives him an order, he doesn't say, but why am I supposed to do that? No, I don't think that is right. No, I don't do that. That doesn't make sense to me. Does a soldier question his sergeant or his general or his superintendent or his the chief? No, he does not. He does not. The commander-in-chief, he does not. When he says do something, he does it. Likewise, children, the children of light, when we are dealing with Abba Yahweh, about to step into our healings and our miracles and our promised lands, the things that Daddy has been promising us for years, whatever he has asked us to do, it is our requirement, it is our responsibility to do it. And not to continue to whine and complain. What were these Israelites doing? Constantly whining and complaining. That is how low their perspective was. They couldn't even see the goodness and the greatness that Daddy was about to do for them. And because of their disobedience and because of their ungratefulness, all of them died out in the desert. It was only the children who were 20 years and older that got a chance with Joshua. Daddy had to raise up someone else. Joshua, who he knew, thought in himself, oh my gosh, I am not qualified for this position. Dad, why did you even pick me for this? Like, no, not me. Not me. And what did Daddy say to Joshua? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. For Abba Yahweh, your God, will fight your battles for you. This is the same thing that Abba Yahweh is saying to us children. Abba Yahweh is saying that he's fighting our battles for us one-on-one, children. He's dealing with each and every one of us individually and collectively. It is a trust thing. It is a trust walk. We are learning how to trust in the Most High God. We're learning how to breathe his breath, to think his thoughts, to see through his eyes, his perspective, to hear from his ears, and to speak, thus saith the Most High God. This takes lots and lots of discipline, children. We have been speaking week in, week out about discipline and how important discipline is. And still, the children of Christ do not understand how important discipline is. They throw it to the side and they minimize it and they think it is no big deal. But you see right there in the Torah, every time they were disobedient, go into the land, kill your enemies, and do not bring any of the spoils with you, because they're accursed. And the moment, not them, but somebody in camp brought something that was accursed, everybody got punished for it. Was that fear? It's that is justice. It's the Lord Almighty's justice, children. No filth will be allowed in the holies of holies. None of our wills will be allowed in the holies of holies, children. Only what Abba Yahweh has purposed and proposed in his heart